our law enforcement agencies, including SABS as well as SANDF, to assist us in making sure that that happens. But having said that, let me just point out that for us to effectively combat this virus, I think we all have to be our own sisters or brothers keepers, in addition to the responsibilities and duties of the law enforcement agencies. The threat brought about by this virus is so serious and so dangerous that it's almost a luxury to rely on uniformed men and women. But let me emphasize, bagaetsho, lo ipolaya mo ipolai ga le lelwe. A re tlhokomele melawana e beilweng e bewa ke puso ka maikaelelo a go rata le go sireletsa baagi. Yaanong ke solela gore la tlhaloganya gore molawana o reng a se ka ra kgoboganya o eme sebaka se ka nna 1-2 meters go tloga yo go latelang kapa o thoko ga gago. Ke goreng go te yalo go botlhokwa go dire yalo ka gonne ha ke go tlhola kapa ke o thimola go na le mathe a masesana a sa boneng ka ponyo ya leitlho, mme ha e le gore nna ke tshwaegile go raya gore mathe a tla ba a tswa mo go nna kapa go thimola go tla bo go tshwere one mogare o. Bagaetsho, a re tseng malebela ko mahatsheng a farologaneng a tshwana ya ka America, a tshwana ya ka Brazil, a tshwana ka Spain, a tshwana ka Italy. A re itlhokomele gore le rona se ka ra ko. Ke tla nna ke tse ke gatelela kgakololwe gangwe le gape. Motlhomongwe bangwe ba rona re raya gore re tla utlwa ka tsatsi le leng gore botshelo bo setse bo seo mo go rona. Yana botshelo bo setse bo ile o ka se ko o re hang ka banaka. Ke re ke gatelela kgang eo. Yaanong go na le there's a question about an official who said lockdown is over. Immediately when I picked up the statement, shortly after it was made, I was able to identify the official who made the statement. I realized and I knew that he had just emerged from his sick bed. He had been on sick leave after having been involved in an accident. And I think as human beings we have to be considerate. He is from a sick bed. He is very jealous to go back to work and deliver, understanding the demands of the current times. And unfortunately, in the process of saying what he said, there was a slip, which in less than 15 minutes was corrected. So we intervened and a statement was issued. I urge all of you to have a real look. I think it was on the 29th, if I'm not mistaken. The statement was effectively corrected. Let us remember, in the current times, we live in a state of policy flux. Here and there, as human beings, we are bound to err. As long as there is no malice in that error, especially when a correction immediately followed. I think let's be understanding. Ke re ka boripana ke re gone go ntse jalo go ile ga nna le nngwe ba etapele mo pusong o ileng a dira phoso yeowa ka go itsise baagi ba sedika ko sa ko Rosemont Party gore lockdown e hedile tota se a ne a batla go se bua o na le ka gore re tloga mo level 5 ya lockdown ra ko level 4 me gape se sengwe motho wa tla tshwanang gore a se akanyetsa se tlhaloganya gore tota na tswa mo diphateng tsa ditlhabi e letsatsi la ntlha boela tirong se se bogolo ke gore mo nakong ya metsotswana hela puo ewa ile a siamisiwa ile a baakangwa yang ke ba gaitso a re amogeleng gore go ile ga diragala phoso ya ile ya siamisiwa ya lebo.
I think there were other questions posed to MEC. Similar to respond to questions.
Dipotso tse ke di ke potso e le nngwe ya ga mme about the decongested informal settlement. Two identified is Boiteko and Marikana in the Northwest Province in terms of the national assessment. We are working with Housing Development Agency, and the process is as follows. We identify land where people can be moved to. First is to look for state-owned land. If there is no state-owned land, we go to private land, and we negotiate the purchasing of the private land. In terms of Greater Boiteko, we got land that is owned by the municipality. Is the land close to Boiteko Shopping Center. The land was donated by Anglo to the municipality. So that land we are going to, right now, what is happening, which is the next step, is social facilitation. Through councillors, government, we talk to the people to explain to them why they should be decongested, why some have to move, so that those shanties that are remaining are far apart from each other. So social facilitation, we do it using government, especially politicians in the form of councillors. But we also use NGOs, where there are active NGOs that are dealing with social facilitation issues. Having convinced the people, we then relocate, like in Greater Boiteko, there will be a need for temporary structures. Temporary structures, there are different ways of creating or developing that. The temporary structures are placed in such a way that they don't disrupt or disturb the provision of services. So for temporary structures, we also provide temporary, like water tanks. We provide ablution facilities. It might be your VIP toilets, for example. And we then start with the process of putting facilities, services in that piece of land. And that is what will happen in Boiteko. Services for sewage, services for water. That means the pipes line up. After doing that, when we are complete, then the people can occupy stands as they will be demarcated, because the area must also be proclaimed in terms of the township establishment to become a township. So once the people, the area is proclaimed, houses are then built. So the building of houses is the ultimate solution, because those are the poorest of the poor. Most of them are people who qualify for these houses, RDP houses, what we normally call RDP houses. So we then build houses for them, and they move into their houses. So finally, they are going to stay in that area. Those from what you exposed as plastic view, they are going to an area called Reed Flay. A piece of land has been bought at a cost of about 1.6 million rands. And that payment for that piece of land is from the province through HDA also. And that land, we purchase it for Rustenburg local municipality. And we are going to move people from Plastic View to Reed Flay, which can accommodate about 200 households. And the piece of land is about 6 hectares. That is what we are going to do. Thanks.
Thank you, MEC. MEC Sambata, your turn.
Thank you very much. Let me start with the last one, not with the first one. The last one is on the number of health professionals that have tested positive in the province in relation with the national number. On the 500 national number, as of yesterday, the province in that number would be having 3 in that 500. It would be having 3, and all 3 were from the private health providers. And all 3 were from Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. And all 3 have recovered. And with the success of contact tracing and strict rules on quarantine, all their contacts are free. They've finished their 14 days. And all of them have tested negative. So from the 3 professionals, we don't have an extension of a positive person by virtue of being a contact. And that's true success of contact. Now, when I'm saying success of contact is that out of 599 contacts that we had successfully traced 573, which in terms of the percentage, it would be 96%. Now, in that 599, those that were quarantined for 14 days, 384 of them had finished 14 days. So it's 14 days not equal. When you are finished, you are tested and then a status confirmed. So that's the last question. The first question on by Zintle, which was asking about viability. Let me first start with the question on social distancing. I think that media, it may be provincially, and I'm not inviting you to personally attack me. It may be provincially, it's wittingly or unwittingly. On the question of social distancing, you're not doing well on your responsibility of public education. Take me for that. The question yesterday was by a media person, the same question, social distancing. Yet none of you from the question of yesterday has publicly or written something and publicized about necessity of social distancing as an educative piece. Today, the same question is from media. What do we do when we pass a place that has no social distance? Immediately, we call the police. This is what we do. Immediately, we call police. Media must play a role. If you go back to Rustenburg and pass Zeerast, you will still find it because it's one of the notorious towns on non-compliance to social distance. You'll still find it there. Take a picture, write a piece on the dangers people are presenting to society by not adhering to social distance. We are very worried as health because it may be the central point where South Africa's response strategy may easily be compromised on the basis of our people not complying to social distance. Media must play its part there, because one of your responsibilities is to educate society. So as you beam and write on this press conference, tell public on your own, tell them the danger they are posing to society on non-compliance to social distancing. That we must do jointly. But what you must do, each time you pass a place, you see them not complying to social distance, take a picture. If you don't want to put your life in danger, call police. Then police will take responsibility to that. The issue of compliance, viability. What we have done on the quarantine standard operation procedure, we've added a requirement that any doctor who sees a patient and the results of the patients are positive, before the doctor says self-quarantine, the doctor must then inform the Department of Health, provincially. The Department of Health then sends clinical personnel to go and evaluate as to the status of the place where you say self-quarantine. Because the problem with doctors is that they rely too much on their patients' feelings. And in some instances, this thing of self-quarantine home has to do with contact to the person, because private practitioners do money by the number of visits. In some instances, it's not free to come tomorrow. You are still charged. So when that is done, you send a team of clinical personnel. They do an assessment. Part of the assessment is that your self-quarantine home must not expose anyone whom you are residing with. Not even your kids, not even your partner. No person must be compromised in you being self-quarantined. If the detection and assessment is that you're going to put people on danger, let's use, for instance, availability of a toilet in the room. If you are going to share a toilet, definitely we will not approve that. Your home is not viable for self-quarantine, definitely. If you are going to share a bath, your home is not viable for self-quarantine. Then we will take you to a government quarantine approved. That's what happens. And when people say we are now imposing quarantine, they are sensationalizing the matter. The National Health Act stipulates that any person who knowingly exposes another person into a danger of transmission is guilty of a criminal offense. Even if you were to expose your child, we have a right to take you up for a criminal offense. That's the status on quarantine. Thank you very much.
Thank you, MEC. Colleagues, is there any further questions? Okay. Selwani, before you okay?
Yes,
Have you decided? Do you want to ask a question or not? Okay. Before you continue, Premier and members of the Command Council, there's questions that have come up from our social media pages. A few questions, and I think just after she has asked her question, we can to also read out the questions to the Command Council, especially from our Facebook page. Okay, you can continue, Selwani. So, okay. But you raise hands here. Yeah, you raise hands. She raised her hand. Thank you. You are noted. Selwani, Zinke. Yeah.
Okay, my question is for MEC of Local Government. My name is Selwani from the SABC. MEC, I would just like you to please just repeat for me. I don't know if you are in position to know how many informal settlements we have in the province. I'm not sure if you would have that kind of info. If you can just give us that picture. And then just also please repeat your answer on how will the decongestion process go. I think that's about it.
Okay, just wait.
I think you answered my question, but I didn't get a on this. Have you received any report from the DA regarding what Mr. Lehari said in Anissa? And are you going to take any major action against him or not?
Thank you.
My name is Zinke from Newsroom Africa. My question is to the MEC of Social Development. I'd like to know if your department will continue to supply food parcels throughout the province, considering the fact that social grants have been increased, at least for this month, by 250, and they'll continue after for the next 6 months to increase by 500 rands, just to try and ensure that the poor of the poorest are not suffering financially. So is there a need for the food parcels to continue? Also taking into account that there's been some concerns about the way the food parcels are being distributed. A lot of people say that there's a lot of corruption involved in it. There's a lot of ward councillors that are implicated in the food parcel scandal. So I'd just like to know if that is still going to happen.
Thank you, Zinke. Thanks, colleagues, for those 3 questions. Before we respond, Dr. Polo and members of the council, can we allow Terence Dile to also add the questions that came up from the social media platforms?
On Facebook page, Office of the Premier, is asking how many Cuban doctors are sent to the province